The number of vaccinated Americans could jump in the coming weeks. Today, the White House released plans to vaccinate up to 28 million children between the ages of 5 and 11. Here's what parents need to know. Next week, the FDA could amend Pfizer's emergency use authorization to include younger children 5 to 11 years old. The agency will hold a meeting on Tuesday, October 26, to review the data. A CDC committee is expected to meet in early November. If the FDA and CDC sign off, elementary school kids could start getting their first shots by the end of the month. And when that time comes, what is the best way for parents to prepare their kids to get that first dose? Sarah Hammond spoke to a mental health specialist who has a few suggestions.
These are scenes of what's to come in the next few weeks. The White House now has a plan to get shots into the arms of kids 5 to 11 once the FDA and CDC sign off. 15 million doses of the COVID vaccine with smaller needles ready to go within the first week of approval. And while there are plenty doses available, some kids may be feeling anxious ahead of their shot.
Approach with care.
Kurt Hook, CEO of Virginia Beach Psychiatric Center, says if you're planning on getting your child vaccinated, there are a few things you can do to ease their fears. He says number one is educate yourself.
Getting credible information, preferably from the pediatrician for the child.
He says your child may have already heard some information or misinformation floating around about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Ask the child, what are your thoughts about this? And what are your feelings about it? Just two very basic, simple questions.
He also says to make sure they're not distracted while you're having this conversation, acknowledge any apprehensions they may have, and use language they can understand.
The scientific language, it's going to be meaningless to a kid.
Hooks also says although they aren't exactly the same, you can use comparisons to other vaccines like the flu shot.
It's a heavier conversation. It's a weightier conversation. That doesn't mean it has to be approached necessarily in that way.
The White House is also preparing a campaign to further educate parents and kids on the safety of the shots and the ease of getting them. For 13 News Now, I'm Sarah Hammond.
The White House says more than 25,000 pediatricians and primary care providers already have signed on to administer the shots to kids. That's in addition to thousands of retail pharmacies that are already administering shots to adults.